Welcome back. Here we are with the third video, where we're going to introduce the Killpips N6 Indicator. It's an indicator that gives us signals with stop and target levels, based on certain levels and some other, slightly more complex parameters that I managed to include to help this indicator make the most of those levels. Of course, here, well, this indicator also it's an indicator, so we have to treat it as such. It's not something absolute. It's not a trading system, but it simply gives us buy or sell signals and, at the same time, provides us with levels where we can set the stop and targets based on the ATR, all of which can always be configured. Let's take a look at it. Here it is. I'm loading it onto the chart. Yes, you can see the little triangle appears. We have two types of signals. Basically a first signal, which is the normal one, and then we also have the retracement signal. So, on a retracement, it gives another signal, and it's marked by a D, by a triangle of a different color. At least I set them to different color. Then everyone can choose however they want. Whatever color they prefer. There's the option to choose among the other parameters. All of these will be included in a file that will be provided as part of the Pro service. There are some parameters that need to be set here, or rather, these are the ones you can freely choose. I'll give you some guidance on which parameters should be kept as default, but of course, you can choose a different target range or a tighter stop loss. This is entirely up to you. I repeat, this is not a trading system, nor is it meant to be a direct investment service. It's just something to help us make decisions, to support us, to spot levels that maybe we wouldn't have noticed otherwise. So, as I was saying, we have the option to set the stop loss distance, the number of targets to be plotted. You can even choose 4, and as you can see, you can increase it to 5, and so on. You can select up to 10, or actually, I think I ended up setting it to 8 in the end. Here it is, up to 5. The ATR step target is basically how far each step should move, so you can set it to 2 or 1, whatever you prefer. You set it based on your own money management strategy. These are other parameters that are used to define the trend through volumes, so they should be left at their default settings. Additionally, we have the volume pressure included, which you can see here in the table, because everything is obviously also shown in the table, so you can see all the targets in the table. And we have the volume pressure, which needs to be set kind of like a GPS. I'll clearly give you all the instructions for that later. Of course, you can decide the position and the size of the table. Then here we have other parameters related to volumes, and we can also go and set the type of volatility, whether we are in a low, medium, or high volatility phase. This will slightly change the way signals are generated, because depending on the volatility, which is another element I included in this indicator, it will generate signals or not based on the volatility regime we select. So, in short, there are a lot of parameters. There's also a tolerance for points, because this is an indicator where, when you see the arrow appear, it shows up instantly. So, at the moment the arrow appears, it means that, according to the algorithm, the conditions are met to enter in the direction it suggests. Then, of course, everyone will make their own decisions using their own judgment. I repeat, there are a lot of parameters to set, but again, let me repeat, most of these are set to default and you should leave them as they are. Obviously, the indicator doesn't just work on the 5-minute chart. This is actually a 10-minute chart. I hadn't even noticed, but of course, it also works on a 1-minute chart. Basically, you just need to tweak a few parameters to stay in the trade because, for example, on the 1-minute chart, the stop loss might need to be set a bit tighter or maybe a bit wider. It depends on the type of trading you want to do. But in any case, it will still give you plenty of good opportunities and signals to enter the market. As I was saying, it also works on higher time frames, even on the 30-minute chart, of course. Obviously, everything gets amplified because the higher you go with the time frame, the larger the stops will be, and consequently, the targets as well, since everything is based on the ATR. So, if the stop holds and the target is reached, we can be sure to achieve a multiple of the ATR compared to what we risked. Obviously it works on all assets, including crypto and Forex. It works on any asset, of course, with the appropriate parameters to be set, which, as I repeat and emphasize, will be included in a supporting file for everything. This is meant to be just an initial introduction video. Perfect. Thank you all again for your attention in this video, and I'll see you in the next one.